Labour is promising to spend an extra £37 billion on the NHS over the next 5 years if elected.
Yes, the party says the additional funding would reduce waiting times, get patients quicker cancer referrals and upgrade IT systems. Shadow Health Secretary Jonathan Ashworth joins us now, quite a regular on the programme.
Before we start, can you tell us, you listened to the Vince Cable interview, were you able to work out whether his public sector removal of the pay cap applied to 2 million or 5.5 million?
I mean, Vince did appear to get into a bit of a muddle, but I do say that who knows what questions you're going to ask me, though, Piers. But
do you think it's important that they shouldn't get into muddles, that you politicians, when you announce initiatives and put a number on them, should at least have some vague idea of how many millions of people it applies to?
Yeah, of course.
Is that unreasonable?
Oh, of course, it's entirely reasonable.
We've seen it with Diane Abbott on your side and others.
Angela Rayner.
Yeah, well, of course, it's entirely reasonable. Now, we've actually said that we'll get rid of the pay cap for the NHS workers, and there's about 1.3 million NHS workers. Depending on, we're going to ask independent experts to come up with the recommended levels of fair pay. But a percentage increase, for example, is something in the region of £500 million. So his figures for the whole of the public sector, I think he was saying we could raise
1.4 billion.
I'm not sure that can apply to the whole public sector, because it certainly wouldn't go far enough for the 1.3 million NHS workers, for example.
How much are you costing for the pay increase for 1.3 million NHS workers?
Well, because we've said independent pay review bodies need to come up with a fair recommendation, we'll wait to see what they say. But as a rule of thumb, a percentage point is about £500 million. If it's 2 percentage points, it's it's roughly £1 billion. So you're in the region of those sorts of levels. So the figures the Liberal Democrats are proposing for the whole of the public sector, I'm not sure if entirely add up.
So just remind us of the figures for you. So you want to lift the pay cap on NHS workers, 1.3 million, and you are budgeting how much for that?
Well, you can, as I say, if it goes as high as 2%, you'd
and that's what you're proposing?
Well, we've said the independent pay review bodies should make recommendations, because the independent pay review bodies so far have not been allowed to make their recommendations, and they've been ignored by the government. And we think when it comes to pay rounds, the responsible thing to do is to ask them to make recommendations and reflect them.
But you have to raise the money for this, so you'd be raising in the region of...
Yeah, you're looking at something in the region of £1 billion, which is what we said on that proposal. Some of the changes we're going to make to corporation tax, we think could fund it. Remember, I came on your show and we had a bit of a discussion about it.
Well, the unicorn of corporation tax...
Well, it's not a unicorn, because I think when you look at some of the tax changes we're proposing, and we'll come on to it for our wider NHS package, I'm sure, we believe that we can raise the money to invest not just in NHS staff, but crucially in patient quality of care, because we want to reduce the waiting time.
One of the ways you're going to do this, you're going to, as always, tax the wealthier people in the country. You'd accept that?
Yeah.
OK.
Would accept
How much are you going to tax the wealthier? I mean, you're going to go to a 50% income tax rate?
Yeah.
What are you going to get?
I mean, as you know, we've said that people earning £80,000 or more, we think should pay a little bit extra in tax.
Why?
Because we believe those with the broadest shoulders need to contribute more.
And how much is a little bit extra?
Well, tomorrow, John McDonnell, the Shadow Chancellor, will announce the specific tax bands, but we believe that we can have new tax bands on people earning more than £80,000, and all the money that is raised from that, all the yield, will all go to the National Health Service.
What is it, 50%?
Will all go to the National Health Service. Well, he's going to announce it tomorrow, but there will be some new tax bands announced for people earning more than £80,000.
Well, we can assume it would be at least 50%, right? Otherwise there'd be no point moving it at all, really.
Well, there will be some new tax bands. He'll announce them tomorrow.
Right.
But you're not a million miles away, obviously, Piers. But all that money that those people we will tax those people. All that money will go directly to the National Health Service.
OK.